Hi, and welcome back to the 721 process. My name is Roger McCartney, and I'm going to be with you for about 7 minutes today. So what is the 721 process? Well, the 721 process keys in on the number 7, and most people's attention span is 7 minutes or less. So we need to get the basis of our conversation in the first 7 minutes. When we talk about learning a skill, it usually takes about 7 days to learn a skill. So when we've talked about skills in our videos, we have made sure that within 7 days you can learn that skill. Now, once you've learned the skill, you need to work it into your daily habits. And we need to repeat that skill for 21 days in order to make it a habit. So they say that it takes 21 days to make or break that habit. So we want to make sure that we are within that 21 days because we want to continue to learn new skills. So communications, if we remember rightly, in one of our first videos, we talked about the LACE process. And the LACE process is strictly an acronym for good, solid communications. So the L in LACE stands for listen. We need to be able to listen properly. We need to listen to understand, because that's the basis of all communications, is understanding. And there's two types of listening. There's passive listening and active listening. And active listening is where we totally get involved in the conversation. We nod our head, we give good eye contact, we interject, yes, I understand, no. So all of those little things to make active listening skills. It helps us get involved in that conversation. Part of getting involved in that conversation is also asking questions. We need to ask open-ended questions and closed-end questions. Closed-end questions are usually the confirmation type questions, the yes or no type questions. The open-ended questions are questions to get more information. Tell me more about this. Could you explain how this process works? Anything that's going to give you additional information. So you need to ask questions and listen for those answers. And once you get all that, now you need to confirm your understanding. So the other person has been talking, you need to make sure that you understand what they said. So you want to say something like, let me make sure I understand what you've said. You have said this, this, and this. Is that correct? You need to confirm it. You need to make sure that you are on the same page as they are. Once you've done all of that, now it's time for you to explain your side. And explaining your side is equally as important, because now it's up to you to get them to understand what you're talking about. So when we explain your side, we need to make sure that we have clear communications. Clear communications are super important in order to have that clear understanding. If you don't have a clear understanding from both sides, it's not good communication. Remember, the LACE process of communications, we are going to be focusing on the E, explaining your understanding. Remember, we talked about Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I believe it was the number 5 habit. He said, seek first to understand, then be understood. And we are at the then be understood portion. So explain your understanding. The first step is for you to state your views, so it's totally understandable. The next step, the other person needs to know why you feel that way. We need to give them the why. This allows the other person to understand what your perspective is. And the difficulty is, most of us, when we start to explain, we start to explain in an argumentative type manner. We try to convince them of our side. We don't want to convince them. We just want to get them to understand. Two totally different things. So how do we explain? Instead of being pushy, why not say, I'd like you to understand exactly where I'm coming from. If I'm wrong, you can correct me. And if not, maybe you can modify your view. So what do you think? We want them to confirm to us that they agree with that. They are just giving you permission to continue. So the steps to explaining. Step number 1, state your view. This is your perspective. What do I think? Step number 2, this is the why. Why do I think that way? Why do you have that particular view? Step number 3, we want to propose a solution. Here is what I propose. Give them an option. Give them a chance to reflect. So what do you think? Give them that opportunity. And it all leads to what we call a transition to a conversation. And that's our main goal, is to have a good, solid conversation where both parties understand each other. You can now have clear understanding of the other person, and they can have a clear understanding of you and your perspective. Remember, seek first to understand and then be understood. We are at that then be understood step. So to review, we want to remember that communication is all about both sides understanding. And if we don't have that understanding, we don't have good communication. So if you have any questions about the 721 process, feel free to contact me at roger.7.21@gmail.com, or you can go to our website at roger-a-mccartney.square.site. So with that, it's been nice. Have a good week, and we will see you next week.